When you have to interpret something, you should use reason, you should use context. One thing you maybe should not necessarily use is prior interpretation, especially your own prior interpretation. I believe this is one of the big reasons for the alleged contradiction concerning the average lifespan of humankind. Genesis chapter 5 describes some of the first people on earth and how long they lived. And these are impressive numbers. So Adam lived 930 years. A man named Methuselah, 969 years. Noah lived 950 years. But Moses wrote in Psalm 90, the days of our lives add up to 70 years, or 80 years if we are strong. And this seems not too far outside of what we actually observe today. But then why do people live 10 times that long or more? Why did Moses himself live to be 120? And why does Genesis chapter 6 say, "Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years." And 3 chapters after that, Noah lives to be 950. And several more individuals are recorded shortly after that statement who lived to be way, way older than 120. There's not one person whose age is given who lives to be less than 120 for a very long time after this. So what's up with that? Maybe it's because that's just not what that passage in Genesis chapter 9 means. Really, when you look at the context, a better interpretation is that this is just not about average human lifespan. There's really nothing in the text to suggest that. Moreover, as we've observed here, it's simply not true. That didn't happen, at least not for another millennium or so. God did absolutely shorten human lifespan, but not right away. It was gradual. It didn't go immediately from 900 to 120. So much more likely in Genesis chapter 9, what we have is a reference to when God will bring the flood. He's not saying from now on people are only going to live to be 120. He's saying 120 years from now, the flood is coming. That's a much more likely interpretation here. Still, Psalm 90 was written about 1,000 years after the events of Genesis chapter 6. So even if the 120 were a reference to human lifespan, couldn't it be that that went down another 40 years or so by the time you finally get to Moses 1,000 years later? And that Moses himself, at 120, was simply an outlier, an exception to his own observation? I'm Pastor Clinton. God bless your efforts to learn from his truth.